Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is the CEO of Habitat for Humanity, Portland Metro East. His name is Steve Messinetti. Steve, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, Lamar, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. I'm excited to talk about all the things that you're working on. And I'll start off by asking you, what is the mission for Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah, sure. So, Habitat for Humanity's global mission is to bring people together to build homes, community, and hope. And we carry out this mission locally by mobilizing volunteers alongside families who are going to buy their house, who put in sweat equity hours, and they work together to build their houses. And then once those houses are done, Habitat sells homes with an affordable mortgage. So we guarantee that mortgage will be no more than 30% of a family's income so that it's affordable for them and they have enough left over for other basic life necessities. And then we also mobilize the community in terms of their support, not only as volunteers, but also as funders to pay for the materials that go into this house so that we can make it affordable for our families.
Well, you're the head man in charge. What led you to want to be in your role?
Yeah, so I first volunteered for Habitat in college, so about 30 years ago. It makes me feel a little old. And I used to go out almost every Saturday volunteering with other students. And then I graduated college with a teaching degree, and I became a third grade teacher. And I was young and enthusiastic, ready to teach, had my lesson plans, my bulletin boards. But it didn't take me long to see that students weren't really ready to learn. And how could they be? A lot of my students came to school hungry every day. They only food they got usually was at school. Many of them were wearing the same clothes every day to school. Attendance was poor because they often moved during the school year. Sometimes they leave for a few months and then move again and come back. So no matter how ready I was to teach, it was really evident to me that they weren't ready to learn. And at the same time, I was actually going out and volunteering on Saturdays at Habitat. And I was getting to know the families that were moving into the homes, and I was seeing how transformational it was for the kids to have a stable house. So I decided to take a year off teaching, and I went to Habitat's main office in Georgia, and I was going to spend a year there. That turned into 10 years, and I, for the most part, was the head of the youth and young adult programs at Habitat International. And then in 2004, this position opened up. I met my wife there, and she's from Oregon, and we jumped at the opportunity to move back here to be closer to her family. But it wasn't, I didn't necessarily have a passion for home building or for affordable housing. I really had a passion for helping kids reach their full potential. And to me, that's really what Habitat's all about.
It's interesting how that works out. For me personally, Steve, I never had a passion for coaching kids in basketball, but that's actually how I landed in the Portland area back in 2007. So it is interesting where those passions can lead you. Well, we are glad that you are here in the Portland area. And I know you have a safety of home campaign. What is that all about?
So many of us right now, obviously, I'm here at home, working from home. It's been an inconvenience trying to figure out this shelter in place. Had to figure out how my kids do online learning and all the logistics of that. But so many others don't have a safe place to shelter. And this just exacerbates the challenges they've had to deal with for many years. So at Habitat, our safety of home is really about helping folks get it to a stable situation in their house. What the worst part is many of folks who are on the front lines, working in the hospitals, working in nursing homes, working in grocery stores, they don't have a safe place to go home to at night. So we have folks who are risking their lives for us and yet don't have a stable home to go home to. And so Habitat Safety of Home campaign is really about helping families get into their homes. And more specifically, we have 42 homes under construction right now in North Portland, and we need the funds to buy the building materials to complete those homes. So our Safety of Home campaign is really about getting people right now into their homes.
I like that. Steve, in these unprecedented times, I'm asking all of my guests this question. How is coronavirus impacting your organization?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty right now, but one of the things that's really clear is that the folks who are hardest hit by this virus, this economic downturn, are low-income families that are working on low wages and were already struggling beforehand. So in many ways, Habitat's focus has shifted not only to just be helping families get into a good home, but we've also spending a lot of time now helping families keep the home they have, whether that's a home they own and preventing foreclosure, or a home that they're renting and preventing getting kicked out of their rental. A lot of that involves connecting folks to resources. So it's really difficult to navigate all the different opportunities that are out there, whether that's working with other nonprofits or the public resources. And that's really the biggest challenge. What we saw in the last recession 12 years ago, which we don't want to repeat, is that it wasn't the recession that was so hard for folks to recover from, but it was actually post-recession, when housing prices skyrocketed and income stayed about the same, and people started to have to pay more and more to their rent. Right now, before COVID, 1 out of every 4 Portlanders was paying more than 50% of their income to their rent. So for Habitat, we do continue to build. There are some challenges. We don't have volunteers out on our build sites right now, so we're building with subcontractors and our staff. And then, of course, we also really rely on fundraising. Last week, we were supposed to have 1,600 people at the convention centers with us for our big annual fundraising event, and weren't able to have that event. So we have a funding gap right now as a result of not being able to fundraise the way we usually do right now.
Wow, some of those numbers and percentages you just mentioned really hit me. Do you feel like you're seeing a housing crisis take place?
We are, and there was a housing crisis in Portland before the recession. Not only the reason 1 in 4 people are paying more than 50% of their income on housing is because the average income for a renter in Portland is $36,000 a year. So when you think about that, it doesn't work. Now, it's important to know that we have a homelessness crisis, and that's really evident to all of us. We see that on the news every week. We see that as we go downtown. But not as much seen is our housing affordability crisis. And it's actually even a bigger problem. There's some 80,000 households in Portland who are working full-time, doing everything right, but they're falling short in being able to provide their families with their basic life necessities. And that number's doubled over the past 5 years. So that's gotten a lot worse. So that's really our crisis here. And the COVID situation has made that worse. Folks who were just getting by now lost some income, or they have kids home from school and they lost their childcare. And again, many of these are frontline workers who we rely on, but are facing really impossible situations.
Well, Steve, I love when we get a chance to see an example of the fruits of the labor of the great organizations we're able to bring onto this show. And when we come back from this quick commercial break, we will get a look at a family that has been impacted by the goodness of Habitat for Humanity. We are back, and we're still here with CEO of Habitat for Humanity Portland Metro East, Steve Messinetti. Steve, before we went to break, we talked about looking at a story of a family who has been impacted by Habitat for Humanity. Can you share that story with us now?
Yeah, sure. There's so many, but yeah, let me tell you about Anthony. He's a single dad, grew up in North Portland. He's got 2 daughters he's raising, but he's really struggled with a lower income. He's been forced to move out of his community, out to further East Portland. But we've been working with Anthony and getting to know him this year, and he is so motivated to get into a new home. And we've been working alongside him and volunteers to build his home in North Portland. And we have a great video to share of his story and some of the pictures of the home that's going up right now.
They say that a kid that has a home seems to succeed, you know. I'm a native Portlander. I grew up on 11th and Mason. I went to Sabin grade school, Grant High School. I grew up in a home with a yard and apple trees and fish ponds and stuff like that, you know. But they pushed everybody further out here to Southeast, and it's like all you see is apartments. As we sit right here in this apartment complex, so much goes on. The police are here every night, stolen vehicles parked along the side of the road, you know, people fighting. A lady just got stabbed right there, right behind us, you know, just the other day. I'm Anthony. I'm a single dad raising 2 daughters. I spent all my time invested in them. My 2 daughters, they mean the world to me, you know. I'm trying to get them a better life with a better chance. I started doing research. I got connected with a few programs. Nothing seemed to work. And then all my friends was like, you could do this, go to this program. When I looked into Habitat, it was a perfect fit for me to succeed at owning a house. It's a great program. Getting this condo has been one of a big dream of mine for a long time. It feels great to know that I can purchase a home and provide a safe environment for my kids. They'll both have their own rooms, and it's gonna work out perfect, you know. Moving back to North Portland, to me, is a real great thing, you know. It's gonna be a nicer area, safer area. You can raise your kids in that area, you know. And it looks like I'm in a good community too over there. I think I'll be the first one in my family to own a home. Stability, security, you know, that's what it means to me. 2 days ago, this year, I celebrated 9 years of sobriety. My recovery, you know, has afforded me opportunities to live life on life's terms and be a productive citizen of society and provide for my family. Without recovery, none of this would be possible. On the day that I get my keys and I put them in that door and I open it up, I'm gonna pull out my phone and I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna video and show all my friends and my family the finished condo.
I'm gonna put glitter on my walls and write my name on there twice. Then I'm gonna say, no boys allowed. And then I'm gonna say, no little big annoying little sisters allowed either.
To Habitat for Humanity and all the people that support it, I want to thank you guys. This is a great organization and it helps many people.
Inspiring video. Great work that you guys are doing for Anthony and his family, and we wish him the best. Steve, I want to ask to close out this interview, what can people do who want to get involved or want to support Habitat for Humanity, Portland Metro East?
Yeah, sure, Lamar. I guess I would say if you're someone who has a good job still, who has a stable place to call home, to consider supporting those who don't. We really need our community to come together right now. And one way to do that with Habitat is to make a donation, and then once we can involve volunteers to come out and volunteer with us again. And a donation would go directly to helping us build homes for 200 people in North Portland by this summer. And you can do that online, you can do that many ways, but we'd love for your support.
Sounds good. Steve, thank you again for the time. I commend all the work you're doing and wish you all the best moving forward. That will do it for this episode of Hurd Mentality. Thanks again to Steve Messinetti. Thank you to Seema Stefani. And Blazer fans, we got classic Blazer games coming up next. Enjoy that, and we will see you again next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. NBC Sports Northwest.